When my daughter-in-law told me the wedding had already happened, I didn't know what to say. I just smiled. A small, shaky smile that didn't reach my eyes. It was a small thing, Mama, she said softly. They wanted to keep it simple. Her voice was kind, but her words fell like stones into the quiet between us. I looked down at the cup of tea in my hands. The steam had gone cold. I nodded, pretending to understand. "Oh, that's nice," I whispered. "I'm glad it went well." But inside, it felt like something had quietly cracked. Not broken with a sound, but split the way old wood does, silently, slowly. I had waited for that wedding. Not for the grand dresses or the music or the food. Just to see my grandson, my only grandson, stand beside the woman he loves. To give him a blessing with these old hands that had raised his father. To see him look at me, just once, the way he used to when he was little, proud, happy, waiting for my approval. But it never happened. No invitation came. No phone call. No visit. I found out by accident, when I stopped by to bring some sweets, as I often did. And that's when she told me, it happened yesterday. Yesterday. The word echoed in my mind all the way home. The sky that evening looked heavy with rain. I walked slowly, holding my bag tight, wondering when I became someone people forgot to invite. At the gate of my small house, I paused and looked back toward their home. A single light was glowing in their window. And I thought to myself, maybe this is how life teaches us to let go, not with noise, but with silence. I went inside, lit my small lamp, and sat down by the window. The house felt very quiet. Too quiet. And that was when the memories began, of when everything was different, when laughter filled these walls, and I was still someone they needed. The day I carried that box of sweets, I remember the sky being unusually soft, not bright, not dark, just gentle. I had made my favorite almond halwa early in the morning. My knees hurt while stirring the pot, but my heart felt light. I told myself, today, I'll ask them about the wedding. Maybe they've just been busy. I wore my best shawl, the cream one with little golden flowers embroidered along the edge. It was a gift from Ahmed on my last birthday. When I reached their home, I paused for a moment before ringing the bell. Through the window, I could hear faint laughter. I smiled. Ah, they're happy, I thought. Sarah opened the door. Her expression softened when she saw me. "Mama. You should have called, I would have picked you up." I laughed. "And missed the morning walk?" "Never." I stepped inside, placing the sweets on the table. The house smelled of roses and something faintly like incense. It was beautifully decorated, flowers, ribbons, and a few empty boxes in the corner. For a moment, I didn't understand. Then I noticed the framed photo on the shelf. Aram. Standing beside a young woman I had never seen before. Both dressed in wedding clothes. I stared at it, my breath catching for a second. "Oh," I said softly. "It happened?" Sar looked uncomfortable. Her hands twisted in her scarf. "Yes, Mama. Just yesterday." It was a small ceremony. I tried to smile, but my lips trembled. "Yesterday?" "Yes." She paused, maybe trying to explain. "They wanted it quiet. Just close friends." "Close friends," I repeated under my breath. I looked at the photograph again, my grandson, grown and handsome, smiling with a woman I'd never met. And suddenly, I felt like I had walked into someone else's story, not my own. I placed a hand on my heart and whispered, "He looks happy." Sarah nodded quickly. "He is. She's a lovely girl." I nodded too, pretending everything was fine. But my hands were cold. I sat down for a while, talking about small things. The weather, the sweets, the flowers. Sarah offered me tea, and I accepted. I didn't want her to feel my hurt. I've always believed elders shouldn't burden the young with their sadness. But as I stirred the tea slowly, my thoughts drifted back, to all the times I had waited for a phone call that never came, to birthdays missed, to dinners eaten alone. Still, I told myself not to blame anyone. Maybe they had their reasons. Maybe Aram was nervous, or maybe they thought the ceremony would be too tiring for me. When I left their house that day, I smiled and said, "Give him my blessings." Sarah touched my arm gently. "I will, Mama." It didn't happen all at once. It happened in small ways, tiny cracks that grew over years. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every small moment that had led to this silence. The first time was when Aram forgot to visit me on Eid. He had never missed it before. I had cooked. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every small moment that had led to this silence. I had cooked his favorite dish, chicken korma, and waited all morning. The phone never rang. That I in the evening, Ahmed called. "Ami, he got busy. He'll come tomorrow." I said, "Of course, Beta. I understand." Tomorrow came, but he didn't. Then there were the birthdays. I'd wrap little gifts, a book, a shirt, things grandmothers like to give. But the gift stayed on the shelf, uncollected. That I tried calling sometimes. "Aram, how's work?" His voice would be distant, polite. "Good, Dottie. Just busy." Busy. That word became like a wall between us. One evening, I asked Ahmed, "Does Aram ever talk about me?" He hesitated. "Of course, Ami. He's just, you know how young people are. Always running after something." I nodded. Yes, they forget the stillness that once held them. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every small moment that had led to this silence. After that, I stopped asking. Still, I'd keep little habits alive, setting an extra plate at dinner, buying sweets on his birthday, praying for him every night. Sarah visited less often too. She said work kept her occupied. I believed her. But sometimes, when I called, she'd answer quickly, "I'll call you back, Mama," and the call wouldn't come. That I began to feel like a guest in their lives, someone kind, but unnecessary. One evening, I went through an old box of photographs. There was one of Ahmed holding Aram as a baby. His tiny hands reaching for Ahmed's beard, his eyes shining with laughter. I touched the picture gently and whispered, "When did we all grow so far apart?" The next morning, I baked a small cake and walked again to their house. I wanted to surprise them. Maybe share tea, talk, laugh a little. When I reached, no one answered the door. I waited a few minutes before Sarah opened it, looking surprised. "Oh. Mama, I didn't know you were coming." Her smile was kind, but there was a flicker of hesitation, like she was guarding a secret. That I glanced inside. The house looked different. Boxes stacked near the wall, half-packed suitcases. "Are you traveling?" I asked. Sarah looked down. "Yes. Aram and his wife are moving abroad. They'll be leaving soon." Her words landed heavy. "Abroad?" I repeated. She nodded. "A good opportunity came up. They'll be gone for at least a few years." I tried to keep my voice steady. Did he tell you to tell me?" She hesitated again. "He said he didn't want to upset you. He'll call you before leaving." That call never came. A few days later, I heard from a neighbor that they had left. Just like that, gone. But as months passed, even those little signs stopped coming. Sarah visited sometimes, bringing groceries or medicine. She'd say, "Aram sends his regards." I'd smile. "Tell him I pray for him every night." I don't know if she ever did. Then one evening, I saw a letter lying on my doorstep. No stamp, no name. Just a folded piece of paper. It was from Ahmed. Short and simple. "Ami, they're settled now. Aram has started a new job. Don't worry, they'll call soon." I held that letter for a long time, the paper trembling slightly in my hands. It wasn't the words that hurt, it was the space between them, full of everything unsaid. I began keeping a journal after that, a small notebook by my bed. Every night, I'd write a few lines. Today I made your favorite lentils. Today the jasmine bloomed. Today I missed you a little more. Writing made me feel closer to them, even if they never knew. Sometimes, I'd read those pages aloud softly, as if my words could reach wherever he was. There's something strange about love and old age. It doesn't fade easily. It just becomes quieter, like a candle burning even after everyone has left the room. Then, one afternoon, the phone rang. I recognized the number immediately, Ahmed's. My heart leapt. Amy, he said, how are you? I'm fine, Beta. How are they? They're good, he said. Actually, they've been busy. Aram's wife is expecting. I froze for a moment. Expecting? Yes. You'll be a great-grandmother soon. I smiled, tears welling in my eyes. That's wonderful news. After the call ended, I sat quietly for a long time. My great-grandchild, another blessing I might never meet. I looked at the small silver bracelet I had bought for Aram's wedding and thought, maybe I'll save it for the baby. That night, I dreamed of Aram as a little boy again. He was sitting on the floor, playing with marbles. He looked up at me and said, Dottie, don't cry. I'm right here. I woke up with tears on my pillow. That moment, I realized, it wasn't anger I felt. It was longing. A quiet ache for all the things I couldn't say anymore.